I've kindly presented who I am. So I think I'll just get going on the paper. And if you have any questions at the end, we can take some. So today I'm presenting on a paper from a comprehensive review of a national STEM outreach initiative that runs in Ireland. I suppose to promote and foster engagement in science, technology, engineering, and maths for primary or elementary school children. I suppose what the study wanted to look at was to look at, I suppose, the program's design, the delivery, and the impact. But not only the impact on the children themselves and the learners, but also the impact on the teachers and the impact in entire school communities. So, to give you a bit of a context and a background, in Ireland, there was a STEM education review back in 2013. The review then was to look at STEM education, specifically in Irish education school system, both at primary and second level, and to create really a vision for science education moving forward. So really what the government wanted to achieve was to provide students in Ireland with a STEM education experience of the highest international quality. They've stated they wanted to provide this provision should underpin high level of student engagement, enjoyment, and excellent performance in STEM disciplines. So after this review group got together in 2013, an implementation plan for STEM education in Ireland was published. So the implementation plan has been running from 2017 to 2026. So we're in the final year of it at the moment. And really, this policy acknowledged the need to adopt best practices in STEM education, and in particular through particular partnerships and developing partnerships that would link the formal education system with the non-formal. So how could the STEM education that was happening in the classroom be linked to a wide variety of partnerships with industry, with other outreach initiatives, with universities, etc. So they wanted to, I suppose, to allow educators to explore future skills, needs, and how they actually can relate what is happening in the classroom to the outside world. STEM outreach in Ireland actually it's a quite of active space. There's a huge amount of STEM outreach initiatives being run, and I suppose there's a wide variety of stakeholders like universities, industries, voluntary organizations, and science centers. But they all have their own goals, they have all their own pedagogical approaches, and they all have very much their own missions and objectives. And I suppose it's an advantage that we have such a high level of STEM outreach for primary school children and second level students and for teachers and even families to get involved with. But it also there's so much happening, you know, and they're all so broad. There can be a wide variety or a varying amounts of level of engagement with them. There can be quite a variation in who is actually delivering them. So research by Davison and Vinux actually indicates that the diversity can lead to inconsistencies and really inconsistent experiences, and this can lead to challenges actually in STEM education overall across different schools. So really, it would be Wilkerson and Hayden have really promoted the importance of rigorous and ongoing evaluation of these STEM outreach programs. They could become quite difficult to assess a program um, it's very little has been done in actually truly assessing the program. So, like to really look at the quality, to look at identify gaps and look at ensure there's equity of access. A lot of the time, these programs just measure numbers, quantities, how many children were engaged. And really, I suppose they always report the positives, always report, the children enjoyed it, the teachers enjoyed it. But there's no long-term evaluation, no longitudinal studies when it comes to reviewing STEM outreach programs most of the time. And if you look up if you just try and search for for research papers on longitudinal studies or evaluation of STEM outreach programs. They're not really robust, but also they are lacking in the research. I suppose evaluation plays a crucial role in continuous improvement cycles, allowing people to adapt and really to make decisions based on evidence-based decisions. So Wilkerson and Hayden also mention this. So really, overall, there is a lack of comprehensive research in the review of STEM educational outreach programs. As previously outlined in the previous slides, I stated that, effective STEM outreach relies on continuous evaluation, and really continuous evaluation should be embedded from the very beginning and the start of the project. A lot of the times the evaluation is done at the end of the project, but really it should be planned and designed right throughout at the beginning of the project, in during as the project happens, and then at the end then as well. And a lot of research you can see there have actually highlighted this. Researchers such as Davison and Ward, for example, they emphasize that evaluation must be integrated into absolutely every cycle of the planning and implementation to ensure this ongoing improvement and long-term sustainability. Wilkerson also highlighted that evaluation informs I suppose it informs the next iteration, like it identifies the strengths, the challenges, and the necessary adaptations. Um, Also, it's quite interesting to note as well, despite there's a huge amount of investment in countries, in particularly in Ireland, but also right across the world, there's a huge amount of investment in STEM education outreach, but there is no investment in the long-term evaluation of them. There was a research back in 2012, actually. It's quite a long time ago now, but it just shows you how there's a lack of research in this area by Gomez and Macaulay in Ireland. And they had found that many Irish outreach initiatives lack this evaluation tools to really capture meaningful impact. And this is very important for us in Ireland, and I suppose for people internationally. We're really putting a focus on engaged research now, and design-based research. So really, this should be incorporated into STEM educational outreach programs. So this study was a mixed method research study, and just to kind of get a comprehensive overview of or the understanding of how STEM outreach programs work, or it was experienced across the school. So this outreach program was a national program, which I'll talk to you in the next slide, a national program that really thousands of children every year participate in, and it's become the important program for all schools to participate in, because they get awards if they participate in it, and they get recognition for the school for their participation. So schools really like this awards project, and also because it is funded by Research Ireland, and there's a quite a significant I suppose logistics to it, and it's quite an in-depth educational outreach program as well. So really, this was a mixed methods program, so project. So I combined quantitative and qualitative data sets to ensure triangulation. But the core purpose of the data really was to understand the participants' lived experiences of this STEM outreach program. So when I say participants, I mean the children that participated in the program, the teachers, and also parents also participated in the program. So it was really to evaluate the design and delivery of the program, the impact of STEM awareness that the program actually has, and then also the impact on teaching and learning in the school. So the first phase really was a focus group conducted with teachers, children, parents, and guardians to get their experiences. So what I wanted to do was first of all focus on gather data from a focus group that then I could actually, that would inform, the findings would inform the quantitative rollout of data collection with more of a nationwide questionnaire then as well. Unfortunately, it is quite difficult to get teachers and children and parents to actually give their time to participate in a program like this. But really, what we wanted to do was to get more in depth, like a smaller number of teachers and children, really to interrogate really their lived experiences. So we didn't want a huge amount of data sets. We would have liked more. But it was just it's quite a difficult difficulty. I suppose everyone has this difficulty in trying to get teachers because they're so busy to get involved in the project. As I was saying, the project is a Curious Minds project. You should look it up in Ireland. It's actually a very, very extensive program. It's a national STEM outreach program run by Research Ireland, and it supports primary schools in engaging students with science, technology, engineering, and maths. They do this through practical, hands-on, inquiry-based activities. All of these are available on their website for teachers to use in the classroom. Also, facilitators go into schools and do STEM workshops with the teachers and with the children. And another layer to it is that actually the facilitators also give professional development to whole school communities of teachers as well. So it's a quite an in-depth STEM educational outreach program. It was launched in 2003, and it was called the Discover Primary Science Program, but they rebranded it there to the Curious Minds program in 2022. It's really important to provide teachers with professional development, classroom resources, and really structured activities. And the structured activities follow inquiry-based frameworks. And in Ireland now we have moved from science education to STEM education. So all the activities now have more of a strong focus on the engineering design process. Schools that participate in this program also they get there's just three different levels of recognition they can get. They can get a certificate of STEM, so that's the lower level of recognition to I suppose a certificate of all the activities that the schools are carrying out in the throughout the year in promoting STEM. They can get then a plaque of STEM, and then they can get a badge of excellence. So the you go from a cert to a plaque to a badge of excellence then. So there's different tiers within it. And some schools since 2013 have got a plaque or a badge or something every year. So it's quite an established project. So really, I suppose I couldn't actually, it was a quite a comprehensive review. I have, because of the word count, I suppose, in the paper, and because of just the lack of time, or 20 minutes here or 15, I don't really have time to go into all the findings. But if anyone wants to talk to me afterwards or contact me, I'd be more than happy to share more findings. So these are some of the findings, and I suppose I thought it might be important to actually look at why do actually schools participate in STEM outreach, and in particular in this STEM outreach program, because every week in schools, there's a new initiative in schools in Ireland. There is a plethora of STEM outreach activities happening in schools. So really, the findings highlight several key motivations and impacts associated with schools' involvement in STEM outreach programs. Schools reported engaging with the program really to develop a strong STEM culture within the school first and foremost. And this was very important because a lot of the time, it's one teacher in a school that actually would lead the STEM outreach right across the school, which can be quite a difficult job, and it's extra time on top of their workload. So really a lot of schools and principals of schools, leaders in schools wanted to ensure that by taking part in a program like this, that actually would develop the STEM culture right across the school, from the younger class groups right up to the senior class groups. They also wanted to actually enhance children's engagement and in STEM education, and this was a very structured way of doing it. So, for example, in the program, they would there were specific things that they had to hit or target in order to get your cert, your plaque, or your badge of excellence. So, for example, they might have to go to they do an outreach, go to an outreach center. They might have to bring in a guest speaker in the area of STEM. So there's certain criteria they have to tick. So it ensured that they were ensuring that children were properly or more meaningfully engaging with STEM education. And also, teachers wanted to get involved really to support the children's knowledge and skills also, and specifically in the areas of problem solving, creativity, and critical thinking, which is becoming more and more important in our new primary school curriculum in Ireland. Our new primary school curriculum will actually be in operation in September 2026, so this is very timely. Um, so they also another motivation, of course, is that they wanted to gain external recognition for their existing STEM work that they're doing all the time in the school, but also promoting the school within the wider community and establishing clear structures to guide STEM related activities and initiatives. Findings of the research also highlighted the impact on the children's learning. So findings highlighted that, the from the focus groups, first of all, the focus groups with the children were very, very insightful, but also from the wider school community was quite insightful as well. Children spoke about enthusiastically, I suppose, about the hands-on STEM experiences or the activities. They described how they developed their skills in coding, how they developed their skills in construction, engineering, design, problem solving, creativity, and teamwork. And they also demonstrated strong awareness of teamwork and the relevance of STEM in everyday life. Also, the teachers and the parents noted that one of the most significant outcomes of the program was the integration of STEM into their everyday school experiences. This was very important, in particular for the parents. They stated that, the children were coming home able to relate what they were doing in the classroom to everyday life. And actually, the parents that I would have interviewed were parents from, working in a STEM background, and they were delighted with this program. And they were actually the parents that actually went into the schools and actually participated in the program with the children. And as a result, the teachers have seen that children have shown a heightened curiosity and a greater confidence, really, and also, very importantly, an increased willingness to persevere with a challenging task, which was quite interesting. I suppose the whole shift in STEM education in Ireland came about because of COVID, and a lot of children and teachers would have sent home STEM activities which were more about problem solving, designing, and developing prototypes. And this has been very much incorporated into the STEM outreach program. And this perseverance with these challenging tasks is coming through a lot in the findings now as well. Um, Another finding from the research was the developing of a school STEM culture. As I said, that actually that's what they really wanted to achieve was the teachers and all the teachers and the facilitators of this program emphasized that this outreach program really did foster this collegiality, this teamwork, and this the shared vision for STEM education across all class levels, which, to be fair, it was quite absent in the schools. It usually was one teacher in one particular classroom trying to promote STEM across the entire school community. And also this, I suppose, this supports a development of more sustained STEM pathways within the schools then as well. They stated that also it also highlighted that this cultural shift aligns with the policy calls for whole school action and community partnerships, which was important to all the schools as well, that they were ensuring that they were illustrating how outreach initiatives can extend beyond activities to kind of influence organizational behavior as well. And that was just actually just impact on the school communities. I've kind of mentioned it already, but there was stronger visibility with the school within the school culture. There was a stronger homeschool links. There's a whole school ownership now as opposed to one a teacher taking it on, and that it aligned with policy. But also, teachers and facilitators agreed that the program actually was creating a buzz around about STEM across the school, and there was a greater collegiality um, because of the program. And again, because there was an overall increase in the teaching and learning in the classroom, it increased the teacher's confidence. That was not only due to being the accessibility to high quality STEM activities, but also it increased their confidence through their professional development that they received as well. There was very much more of a cross-curricular collaboration as well, which in the past may have been missing from some classrooms. So they were able to um, deliver interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary projects with the help of this program. Also, the hands-on element was very, very important. It increased their hands-on element of the teaching and learning of STEM in the classroom. And overall, the program energized a STEM culture in the school. Challenges though, okay, there was all very positives, but what were the challenges? There was key challenges that were uncovered through the evaluation, acknowledging areas where improvement are needed to kind of really maximize STEM educational outreach effectiveness. Like teachers report increased workload. They have other initiatives happening in the class, like so this is just STEM. There's lots of other initiatives that they're running in the classroom, and they found it there was quite a lot to it. So really, it actually, when I was reporting back to Research Ireland, we had to take that on board for future iterations. When we're designing these programs, we want to do as much as we possibly can, to promote STEM in the classroom. But really, it is the teachers that are trying to implement this in the classroom, and they found that the workload was too high. So that would be interesting for anyone who is doing STEM outreach to take on board. We want to do everything with them, but sometimes we just have to, reality has to kick in as well, and they just can't, teachers just can't do everything. There was, as I said, administrative demands, and it did put pressure on timing and resources then as well. They're stating as well materials have to be continuously updated. So there is hundreds, if not thousands, of materials on the Curious Minds website at this stage. But the teachers want more. They want to challenge the children more. They want to challenge themselves more. So when if any of you are in STEM education or outreach and design and program activities, that was coming across quite strongly that we have to keep reinvigorating the materials. But a way around that now, this STEM outreach program has actually put it back on the teachers, and now the teachers are designing the materials and they're going up online, which is a much more sustained approach and greater developing greater capacity. Another key challenge was the inconsistent level of parental engagement. This is an issue that I only interviewed parents that were involved in STEM disciplines as their career, but that's because they're the ones that are interested. There's a lot of parents that would feel quite, I suppose, they wouldn't have the confidence in engaging in STEM with their children at home. So this has to be looked at, and so our future iterations of this program is looking at this parental engagement and how can we ensure that we're allowing all parents to have equal access to this engagement as well. And the findings really resonate with the broader literature as well, indicating that outreach programs can struggle with sustainability and the long-term resourcing really unless these practical barriers are addressed. Um, so I better move on. To conclude, really, the review highlighted the significant potential of national STEM outreach initiatives to positively shape teaching, learning, and I suppose the broader STEM culture in the primary classroom. Across a variety of school contexts, we found that participants in these programs not only enhanced the children's understanding of STEM in everyday life, but also broadened their awareness of future STEM pathways for them. Teachers reported notable gains as well as including increased confidence, improved inquiry-based teaching skills, and a greater ability to design integrated STEM activities. But at the same time, as I said, it did address revealed practical challenges that really do need to be addressed in future iterations of any STEM educational outreach. Workloads was a problem, parental engagement was a problem, and really addressing these issues is very important to ensure the long-term impact and ensuring equity of access for all the children. I suppose overall, our findings have affirmed that a well-designed, contextually relevant STEM outreach program is invaluable for fostering science capital, supporting national policy objectives, and strengthening partnerships between schools and external STEM providers. It really does actually, it did actually provide a lot of actions for policymakers, for educators and STEM organisations in Ireland, and who have now have looked at the feedback and are embedding it into future iterations of their programme. And I would just like to say thank you because I know I'm probably running out of time. Um, but if you have any questions, I'd please let me know, or you can contact me as well.
Well, thank you very much, May, for a wonderful
Okay.
overview of what's